This weekend on One Championship, we had Danielle Kelly versus Mayssa Bastos for the One Women's Atomweight Grappling World Title. If you guys didn't see it, Mayssa beat Danielle in a, in my opinion, very close decision win. But there's been some controversy surrounding this, so I just wanted to take this time to address some of that controversy and maybe clear some things up that some people might not be understanding. Hey guys, this is Sean with PDMA, and today we're really going to take a little bit of a deep dive into this match that happened this weekend. I know I watched the match as it was happening, had my opinions, and then in the past couple days, I've been seeing a lot of opinions online, varying opinions that people had issues with, or that I think some people just don't understand. So before we really get into the crux of this, I do want to say I'm not making this video to bash anybody. If you guys watch my videos, that's really not my style. I'm a big fan of both of these women. I think both of them have excellent jiu-jitsu. I try to learn from them as much as I can. And I also don't really have a problem with One Championship's rule set. If you guys are newer to submission grappling and maybe haven't experienced this, the sport is sort of undergoing a period of discovery where all these different organizations have all these different rule sets. And those different types of rule sets lead to different outcomes in matches. Now, no organization has yet, to my knowledge, been able to find the perfect rule set. Of course, certain people prefer the rule set of certain organizations to the rule set of others, but in terms of One Championship, I actually don't have much of a problem with their current rule set. Of course, maybe some things need to be tweaked, but just make that point to say this isn't a video about me bashing one's rule set. This isn't a video about me bashing any of the competitors. I just want to address some of the controversies that I've been hearing about. So let's start with the one that's probably obvious to most submission grapplers, or if you have any real fight experience, and that's the fact that Mayssa's getting some criticism for playing off of her back. And I think a lot of this comes from the fact that a lot of people know that One Championship does favor aggression in their scoring criteria. It's not the main scoring criteria, but it is a factor in the scoring criteria. Now, if you're an outsider to submission grappling, you might be thinking, well, how can somebody be more aggressive if they're playing off their back? In this sport, it is absolutely possible to be the aggressor while sitting down or while on your back. Now, I'm not saying that Mayssa was or wasn't being the aggressor. I'm not here to give my opinion, although I'll give my opinion at the end of the video probably. But I'm not here to say Mayssa was or was not being the aggressor. What I'm saying is that it is possible to be the aggressor in submission grappling, especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu based submission grappling, if you are attacking. Now, the big controversy from this comes, I think a lot of people don't quite understand how many attacks we have off the ground or off of our back in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And again, I'm not talking about this particular case. I'm just talking about in general here. But just understand that if you're new to the sport, it is possible to play off of your back, be the aggressor, even while sitting down and even while butt scooting, even though people have a big issue with that. But I can point you to so many matches where the person sits right down and scoots on forward. Again, is that what Mayssa was doing? Maybe, maybe not. Some of that's up for interpretation, but all I'm saying is that it is possible. Now, to most of us that train, and which I'm assuming most of the people that are watching this video have some sort of experience training, you already knew that. So let's go into something else that is probably a little step further into this topic. Now, a common complaint I saw was that Mayssa was somehow spamming leg locks. And now I don't say that to be disrespectful to anybody. Understand when it comes to if you think somebody is just laying on their back spamming leg locks, sure, maybe somebody can do that. But you have to understand the difference between spamming leg locks, which people say with a negative connotation because I think they just think, oh, she's just playing it safe and she's just sitting there and trying to go for leg attacks, or having a game plan and sticking to it. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Danielle Kelly, but her guard passing is very, very good. And I haven't spoken to Mayssa about that. I've never spoken to Mayssa in my life, but I don't know what her game plan was. I've never talked to any of her team. But if I'm going against a good guard passer, and I know I have a phenomenal guard such as Mayssa does, that's probably going to be part of my strategy. So when people say, oh, she's out here spamming leg locks, I don't think people quite understand the talent it takes to keep somebody like Danielle Kelly at bay and then spam those leg locks. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, if I were to go into a match with Jacob Couch or something like that, like, he's just a person I was just thinking, like, any person of that caliber, like, I'm not even going to be able to come close to spamming leg locks on him. So when people say, oh, she was just sitting back and spamming leg locks, it's like, you have any idea how difficult that is to just sit there and try to spam leg locks? And again, more than likely, she wasn't just trying to spam leg locks. She was probably had a game plan going into this and was trying to execute on the game plan, which included having a flexible guard and repeatedly attacking leg locks. Now, if you watch the match, you saw that, in my opinion, Danielle did a very good job of defending against those leg locks. She kept her weight where it needed to be. Her hips were always heavy, as you would do. Maybe in some fashion, Danielle was sort of expecting that. Now, on the flip side of this, I know Danielle's camp very well. So, but they don't tell me about strategy, or I don't have any insider information, but I do know them and I do know what her training partners like to do. So that's some criticisms I heard about Mayssa. Now, some criticisms I heard about Danielle were very similar. People saying that she wasn't aggressive enough on top, she wasn't attempting to pass Mayssa's guard, and guys, this goes back to kind of a similar thing. If I'm going against Mayssa Bastos, I'm going to be very careful with my guard passing. And this also brings us into the conversation about the rule set. I have said this on this channel before, and I will repeat it. I repeat it to all my students. When you are going into a competition, you need to know your rule set. Both of these women are professionals. They are the tippity top of jiu-jitsu. So when they enter a jiu-jitsu competition, they know their rule set and they know it well. Now, again, I full disclosure, know Danielle's camp, but I have not talked to them about this specific topic, and I would be curious too. I haven't talked to Danielle about it either, purposely because I wanted to make this video so I can keep myself open to assumptions. If I were in Danielle's corner, I would probably advise her to be very cautious about attempting to pass the guard of Mayssa Bastos because of the rule set of One Championship, and that's specifically the catch rule. Now, we saw the catch rule come into play twice in this match. There was some thought about was there a third, but officially, I'm pretty sure it was 2 official catches. So if Danielle goes to pass, committing to passing guard can leave you open for a submission, and in a One Championship rule set, it leaves you open to a submission attempt. Now, obviously, I'm not saying don't try to pass the guard, if any One Championship grapplers are taking their advice from this channel, but no matter what you're competing in, I'm not saying don't try to pass the guard, and obviously I'm not saying that there's no way Danielle could have passed her guard or anything like that. All I'm saying is that when it comes to game planning for this particular rule set, you do have to be a little extra cautious about trying to pass guard, because not only can you get swept, not only can you get submitted, you can get into a catch. So Mayssa doesn't even have to finish a submission on Danielle. She can attempt a submission, and if the judges or the referee decides that, hey, you know what, that was a tight submission attempt, that was a fair submission attempt, we're going to call that a catch. Well, now Danielle's playing catch up. And if you guys saw, Danielle actually had the first catch of the match. So she's therefore incentivized by the rule set to maybe even be a little extra cautious. And now, again, I don't know if that's what she was doing. I have not spoken to her or anybody that knows her. I'm just going off of assumption about what I saw with my own eyes. So when people are criticizing, oh, Danielle didn't attack the guard enough, Danielle didn't this, I'm not saying you're wrong, because obviously everybody's open to criticisms, and I'm sure both Danielle and Mayssa are going to be getting criticisms from their teams after this, constructive criticism, of course. But you need to play to the rule set, and I think we saw those 2 women playing to the rule set again because they're at the highest level. You don't get this far in this sport by coasting, by not understanding the rule set. Playing to the rule set is vital. And as much as a lot of us maybe want to think, oh, I can just go into this match and I'll be able to submit. It doesn't matter what the rules are because the submission always ends the match. Okay, that's awesome. When you're at the highest level and you're going against people, getting submitted for both of these women, the entire match was a danger. So that's my take on people's, I think, the biggest criticisms of both of them there. I think that people didn't like a lot of the aggression they saw at times, both from Mayssa and Danielle, but understand that that's what those 2 women are working with. So let's talk about the rule set a little bit. Now, we've mentioned aggression is a scoring criteria, and we've mentioned that catches are a thing. And if you don't know, and I haven't explained it thoroughly enough, a catch is, again, if the referee or the judges, I believe that's who can call it in One Championship, decides that somebody came close enough to a submission that they're going to award them a sort of point. And then whoever has the most catches in the event that there is no submission will win the match. It might be more nuanced than that, but that's the rules as I understand them. And I don't compete in One Championship, so I don't know them as well as some of their fighters, hopefully. But what's important to understand here is that rule sets shape fights, or rule sets shape matches in jiu-jitsu case. So when you're operating under a rule set that says, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put these things called catches in there. And the theory behind that, from my understanding, is that's going to encourage people to go for more submissions. And maybe in some cases it does. If you watch some of the Ruotolo brothers matches or Mikey Musumeci's match on One Championship, there's a lot of submission attempts. And in this particular case, there was not a lot of submission attempts. And I don't think that means that one of these matches is necessarily, maybe one's more entertaining for you, but I don't think that means one didn't demonstrate as much skill. I think it's just a different take on how to approach the rule set. So what initially made me want to make this video in the first place was this idea that this match was a robbery. I've been seeing a lot of talk online that this match was a robbery, and I just want to talk about when we use this term robbery in combat sports. Now, typically, the word robbery, when it is appropriate, is used when one of the fighters or one of the grapplers definitively won the match, definitively dominated the match, but somehow the judges gave the decision to the other person. I don't think that's what happened in this case. Now, do I think it was the right decision for Mayssa to win? I don't know. To be completely honest with you, I don't know. I'm not a One Championship judge. I have a surface level understanding of the rules. They gave it to her. Seemed fair to me. But I will say that had they given it to Danielle, I would be feeling this exact same way. My point is I don't think anybody completely dominated the match. And so I think the winner is sort of irrelevant when we're talking about if this is a robbery or not, because I don't think anybody dominated that match. And in order for it to be a robbery, we would need to have somebody completely dominate that match. I think it was a very even match all across the board. That's why I'm saying if Danielle had won, I'd be saying this exact same thing. I don't think anybody was robbed. Mayssa won. I don't think Danielle was robbed. I just think it was a good, close match that I think both women showed a lot of skill and kind of showed that they're, at least according to this match, pretty evenly matched. So that's just what I wanted to say on that. I think we need to stop all this, it's a robbery this, it's a robbery that. It's okay if you like Danielle. It's okay if you think Danielle won. But even if you think Danielle won, I find it very hard to believe that anybody would say Danielle completely dominated that match. Did very well. Did very well. But to say she dominated that match, I think is a bit of a stretch. And I haven't spoken with Danielle about this, but I just think her being an experienced competitor, I think if you were to ask her, hey, do you think you dominated that match? I don't know. I think she's a pretty smart person and understands she didn't dominate that match. Whether she thinks she won or not is a completely different story. But if you ask Danielle or if you ask Mayssa, I don't think either of them are going to say that they dominated that match. I think they're both pretty realistic about how that match went. It was just an even match. I just want to take this short video to address some of this, what I saw. Again, I think both women did a great job. To me, it was a very entertaining match. I know some people didn't feel that way, but anytime I watch two people at this high of a caliber, this is sometimes what happens. Sometimes you don't get that classic jiu-jitsu pass, recover guard, sweep. But, sometimes it's literally a battle of inches. And I think that's what we saw this time was that when you're dealing with high caliber individuals, be it jiu-jitsu, we're seeing it sometimes in Olympic judo and Olympic wrestling, that some of these matches are, from a spectator's point of view, maybe kind of boring. But this is what happens when you have two very, very high level people that have a lot to lose right on the line, and they understand how they could potentially lose based on that rule set. So let me know what you guys think. Am I just completely off on this? Is there more to the stories or more to talk about? Did you watch the match? Were you entertained? All that stuff. Let me know in the comments below. As always, please, as every other YouTuber on this earth asks, just ask that you, if you like this video, if you like all this content, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. Share the video. That really helps me out as well. If you want to follow more, you can follow me on Instagram at peopledoingmartialarts. All the socials will be linked below. You can also check out my web store at pdmastore.com. Also linked below. You can get a cool shirt like this. It's actually cooler on the back. Hat, whatever merch I have laying around here. But that will be all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.